Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday morning real estate marketing show with Ruthie Rocks, Ruth Allbrand, and I am Marketing Max. And this is show 213. Today, we actually have a special guest. You know, one of the hardest things that any producer of content has to face in the very beginning, especially when it comes to video, is overcoming that angst of getting actually in front and speaking into a device. And so Phil Valentine today, our guest, who's a award-winning filmmaker and performance coach, is going to walk us through what he coaches his clients on, how to overcome the anxiousness and the nervousness of getting camera, and how to get people to like you, which is a key important component to getting people to actually start paying attention to you and eventually doing business with you. So, but before we get to Phil, Ruth, what is happening in Las Vegas? I heard the market's hot right now.
The market's hot and it's shaking up. We had an earthquake yesterday.
Did we?
In the middle of Nevada, 4.9. So I didn't feel it. I didn't hear much about it, and I haven't watched the news, so I don't know if it damaged anything.
Right.
I looked at the newspaper, but I didn't even see much about it. So hopefully nobody was injured or damaged. Yeah. I was looking at the casino openings. They're everyone trying to be open by the 4th of July weekend. So I think July 1st is when they're scheduled to all be online, pretty much. Taking in guests and gambling and having fun. Westgate is a casino that we've talked about when we were talking about some of the projects that were coming online this year. And so they're right now debuting. They are the largest sports book in Las Vegas, and they just installed a 220-foot long, 18-foot high definition screen for everybody's enjoyment of watching sports.
Wow.
And, you know, it's interesting because of the pandemic time and phasing out of this. I think that the social distancing, of course, is going to continue. And the bigger the screen, the farther apart you can be.
Exactly right. Exactly. And a big announcement. I don't know if you heard, but the NFL is bringing the Pro Bowl in 2021 here. I mean,
January 31st.
Right. This is pretty exciting. I mean, I know we kind of got a little bit of the shaft here when it came to the draft, but I think the Pro Bowl is actually bigger from an attraction standpoint. So that's pretty exciting news for Vegas for 2021.
Yes, I think we're going to see this. I talk about the phase out being a Nike swoosh.
Right.
You know, we went down, you know, like that, but we're going to come back like the Nike swoosh. We're going to come right back out of this.
Right. So, and with more and more people trying to leave California right now. I mean, there's a big flight out of California, especially Northern California right now.
And Seattle.
Yeah.
We talked to some people that just can't wait to get out of Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
88% of the economists say that our economy is just going to come back like that Nike swoosh. I just wanted to add that stat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what's happening in Vegas is we are losing inventory, Max. Yesterday, for instance, we had 7,308 available homes. Today, we're down to 7,298. Every day in the past 15 days, it's gone down. And it continues to go down because people are buying homes.
Right.
We closed 110 homes yesterday. We put 114 under contract, and we listed 158. So the market is moving. I talk about homes being the new toilet paper. They're flying off the shelf.
Especially anything under 450, 400.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
Yeah. And so last year to date, we had sold 15,744 homes. In 2019, year to date, we had sold 18,132 homes. So we're down from last year about 13.2%. And I post the stats for May, April to show you where most of the down is. It was a result of COVID, not the market.
Sure.
And the prices have remained steady. In fact, our prices jumped up this month to 346 average.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and last year the yearly average last year was 336. So the prices are inching up, and a lot of that has to do with the interest rates being so low.
Oh, low.
And at the 3% rate, you're basically paying $410 per 100,000 of mortgage. So we're trying to sell payment, not price.
Right. Right.
Because the appreciation is an average of 7%. So 7% of 300 grand is 21,000. So you're going to make that payment back plus more in the first year, because the principal is reduced much more when the interest rate is lower than it is when the interest rate is higher. So there's all these selling points for the market being so just rocking right now. It really is. And I don't want to take up too much time talking about the market. I talk about it every day on my daily show at 9 o'clock with Jimmy Dague. And I'm just saying, and I post these in the group, the Ruthie Rocks group. I post them on Agent Formula page, and I post them on my personal page. Download them, use them, show them to people, show how strong our market is. So I'm going to hide that. And I want to say a few things. We're going to talk about video today. And I know that there's 5 tips that we always tell everybody about, 5 or 6. We tell them, you need to know what you're going to say. You need to make sure your camera lens is clean, right? And you need to have some consistency. Very important that you have consistency to what you're going to say. And interestingly enough, live video is where it's going, and video as well, both, because 400,000 new profiles a day on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook. It's all about video, and that's where we're going. And we have to embrace it and learn it. And so that's why I partnered up with Phil Valentine. We're going to create a class to actually make people comfortable doing video. And that's what Phil's going to talk about today, is how you do it. Because you have to do it. Work ethic is going to be the differentiator in the market to come. And if you're not in the right lane with video, you need to get out of the way. So I won't say another word. We'll introduce Phil.
All right. Bring him on.
Come on, Phil. There he is.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning, Phil. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Ruth's shuffling
After
around the video.
To you guys, I want to buy a house now.
Right.
Well, I got a husband that can sell you one.
I bet you do.
Fantastic. So to reiterate again, Phil Valentine here is an award-winning filmmaker and full-time performance coach. So he's been working with actors, and surprisingly, I was a little surprised by this, but professional athletes and mainly figure skaters. And so, let's hop right in. And first, I always ask this question because it's, we're in Vegas, and how did you get to Vegas, and where are you originally from?
I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in New York. So I was raised in New York, and in New York, being an actor is not an unusual occupation. You go to school with kids who are actors, their parents are on television. So, but it was nothing I ever wanted to do. I grew up a painfully shy kid. If I go to my high school reunion, nobody remembers me. I was that shy. So to take acting in college, it was not to become an actor. Okay. It was because I needed an elective, and I thought, how do you fail acting? If I just show up and try, I'll get a B. I did it to keep up my grade point average. That's all. But I ran into a brilliant man who taught me what I still teach today, and I improved on, which is why actors get nervous being the center of attention, how they got that way, and how to permanently get over it, because you're not born with it. So I became an actor. And of course, I ended up, I moved to Phoenix at first to help my dad start a business. Then I moved to Houston to do a movie. And I liked Houston so much, and the oil companies were doing well. This is in the mid 80s.
Right.
So there was a lot of work. So I was there for 3 years, and then moved to LA, which, every actor, it's either New York or LA. And I didn't want to go back to New York. So I went to LA, and then I ended up directing a show at the brand new at the time Luxor. It was La Ice Show. It's when I was coaching figure skaters. And I just loved Vegas. I called all my friends in New York. And I said, you got to come out here. It's just like New York, except it's warm and it's clean and it's safe. And my friends said, so it's nothing like New York. And I go, okay, well,
yeah.
So I just loved it. I've been here 26 years.
Wow.
And it is now home.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So let's dive right into it. I mean, video and social media marketing is here to stay for the foreseeable future and probably for the next decade or two. So, and one of the biggest obstacles that we always hear from the students that Ruth goes through Ruth's classes is like, how do I get started? And how do I overcome that, deer in the headlights look, right? So
it's nervousness.
Right. So talk us a little bit about that.
Sure. It's of course, this is a very normal fear. 90% of people, well, the number one fear of most Americans is public speaking. So now that we're moving into a virtual world where you just can't thrive in a business without doing some sort of social media or having some sort of social platform. So public speaking, unfortunately, for a lot of people, is going to be something you absolutely have to do to succeed. Right. So it's also the number one fear. So people are really struggling with it. Now, there's a million people out there that will give you tips, and Ruthie does them too, and they're all good. They give you tips on improving, what you look like online. I don't teach that. I teach why you get nervous being the center of attention and how you got that way, and we unravel it so that you're not nervous anymore. It's not about faking it. And a lot of online and even in-person classes are teaching you how to fake it. Look over their heads, imagine them wearing their underwear, all kinds of tips that people give. And some of the tips like, repetition, learning your script, those are all very good tips. But if you're nervous, most of the time it still shows. And I was a casting director. If you remember all those "What Happens Here Stays Here" commercials, I was for Vegas. I was the casting director for those for 10 years. And I can tell you that the actors that come in an audition, if they look the least bit nervous, they are not going to make it to the callback. And it just applies not just to actors, but every person who has to do some sort of social media, get in front of a camera or give a speech live. If you cannot be nervous, how much more enjoyable and how much more relaxed would you be?
Yeah, absolutely. So what are is it different for everybody on the reasons why people are nervous, or are there similarities? And
yes, because look, you got to, if 95% of any group of people has the same problem, it came from the same place. Okay. You can't get 95% of any group to all be afraid of the same thing, and they all learned it randomly at different places and different times. So we go back to, we don't talk about at the beginning on camera, the actors don't talk about acting, the figure skaters don't talk about competing. We talk about psychology of human behavior, because I say in my book, it's all in the mind. Your problem is not a physical problem. It's a psychological problem that you're struggling with. And that's what we attack. And that's what those tips don't cover. They don't cover the psychological aspect of why people get nervous when they're the center of attention. And that's where we start. And thanks to people like Ruthie, Ruthie gets it. And she got it immediately. And we helped one of her people who struggled greatly. And I've run across them many, many, many times. And with tips and things like that, we made her better, pretty easily. She got better on camera. What I would like to do is work with her until she's not nervous anymore. She doesn't have to worry about the tips. She can just deliver content in a relaxed and comfortable and believable way.
And be authentic. That's one of the great things that you do, is teach people how to be authentic and get people to like them.
Right.
We all have people that know us and love us. So it's just bringing forth that person to the person that you're helping find a home.
So what are some of the reasons why people get nervous, like that you've uncovered?
Well, I mean, nervousness is it's not an emotion, it's a reaction to an emotion. And the emotion is fear. Okay. So they are afraid of something. Now, I'll ask you a question very quickly. You know, when you're on camera, what is it in that scenario that makes it unusual than something you normally do?
Well, there's no one in front of you, first of all.
Right. Well, yeah, from what you do. But if you're giving a speech or whatever, there is you. You're the center of attention. We use that a lot.
Right.
And then there's the rest of everyone else.
Everyone else, right.
So in that scenario, you are, as opposed to every other aspect of your life, when you're working with somebody or doing something on your own or whatever, you're not the center of attention, and everyone is not focused on you. So in this very unusual setting that makes people nervous, you're different. Okay. People have, and I'm not going to say innate because it's not innate, it's learned. People have a fear of being different. Anybody that wears the glasses that Ruthie wears is obviously not afraid of being different. You can tell by the way people dress who is attracting attention to themselves and those people who are trying to blend. And most people are trying to blend. Most people are trying to be invisible and not draw attention to themselves.
And so is that the fear of getting judged by other people, the fear of you know, what is the root? I mean, so you're the center of attention, but why do people fear that? Well, I mean, what's the psychology behind that fear?
Okay, we start all the way back from childhood, all the way back to babies. Okay, because if you look at a baby, babies aren't afraid of anything. They don't know anything. Okay, but how do you know when a baby does not like something?
Tells you. It cries.
They cry. Because when you're a baby, you have one solution to every problem. It's crying, you know. So you cry when you're wet, and you cry if you fall, and you cry when you're hungry, and you cry if the cat bites you or whatever. You cry, cry, cry. And mom comes along and she goes, "Oh, are you okay? Are you wet?" And she checks your diaper. "No, that's not it." "Are you hungry?" Stick a bottle in your mouth, swipe it away. "No, that's not it." Eventually, mom or dad will figure out what your problem is, and they solve it, and the baby stops crying. As we get older, our problems become a little bit more complicated. So now mom is giving you lunch because you're hungry, but she's giving you strange peas, which you don't like. Okay. So you push it off the thing. So now your problems are a little bit more complex, and you begin to negotiate. You may cry, but you may say no, because you're one. So you have a limited vocabulary. The brain has this automatic problem solving technique. It will recognize a problem, come up with options, choose a solution, and then the fourth part is act upon it. But there comes a time in everyone's life where every solution also has consequences. And it starts in kindergarten. Okay. Because in kindergarten is, and sometimes in preschool, that is quite an impact. Because before you go to kindergarten, when do you eat? When you're hungry. When do you play? All day long. The world is your oyster. School is the first place where you have to do things at a certain time. Okay? You eat at lunchtime and not until then. You learn ABCs when everyone else is, no matter what you want to do. And you play during recess. Okay? So that's when you learn structure. Okay. But as a 5-year-old has a very simple mind when it comes to learning. So if you're in kindergarten and you get punished every time you do something that the rest of the class is not doing, what do you think a 5-year-old brain learns?
Yeah, to conform.
Being different is?
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, that's it. And it's funny because if you talk to a first grade teacher and you say, "What are the problems that you have with students?" they will all say the same thing. They go, "They relentlessly tease each other." And I go, "Tease each other for what?" "The tallest kid, the shortest kid, the only kid with red hair." You know, whatever it is makes them different. Where did they learn to punish for being different? Kindergarten. And now they're teaching. Okay. And it's confusing first grade because the teacher goes, "Don't do that. That's not right. Don't do that. You taught that." Okay. Because a 2-year-old that hasn't been to school will play with anyone. They'll play with a fat kid, a skinny kid, a tall kid, a short kid, a kid that's older, a kid that's younger. It doesn't matter. But when they get into that school system where it's about conforming, and then they learn that being different is wrong. Now, of course, that's just where the snowball begins to roll. What I do in my class is I explain why the school system teaches that way, because they're not doing this to make you afraid of being different.
No.
It's what's called a byproduct lesson. A byproduct lesson is when you learn something that wasn't intended in the lesson. It's something else that you learn.
But when I watched, I'm sorry, but when I watched you with Stephanie and how nervous my dear friend was,
you know, she was pretty nervous.
Yeah, but I mean, the way you did it, you have some magical ability that I don't know if a person can actually, let me finish, can actually describe, because you get into someone's mind, Phil. That's why I can't wait till we launch our class, because people are going to be amazed at how you can help them and how quickly you can help them. And it's very individual, Max. It's not like something you can just, you know, come on and say, here's 5 tips and now go out and do video. No, there's something very special about being educating, entertaining, and informative, and with confidence and be authentic. And Phil is, I mean, I watched it in the half an hour. He did it.
Well, they say that the greatest coaches were only mediocre players, and that applies to me. I understand what everyone's going through because I had every one of those problems.
Right.
I saw Stephanie doing what she's doing, and I said, I have been there. I have been there. And I see a lot of different things because I was the worst. And I have taken people who have come into my class who are painfully, there have been a handful of people that were as bad or worse than me. I never thought I'd meet anyone worse. And they have gone from that to being performers, which is a tremendous, tremendous accomplishment.
Well, you trained Marilyn Monroe.
I did. Stacy Nicole, who's like the #1 Marilyn Monroe in Las Vegas, was in my class for 2 years, and she would not get up and do a scene with any of the other actors. She just watched and listened and took notes. And then after 2 years, she said, I'll read my lines, but I'll read them in the hallway and close the door. So that was her step 2 years later, was to read her lines in the hall. Eventually, she got in the same room. And then eventually she broke through that wall. And once a shy person breaks through that wall, because it is a wall of shyness, they never go back.
Yeah.
And I have seen tremendous, tremendous changes. And I've had other people in the class think that it was cruel to watch these people struggle and say, why are you pushing her? Why are you pushing her? And I go, I'm not pushing her. She wants to get out. I'm just unlocking a door. But she's struggling through all that, and I've had people break down and cry, but it's never gone bad. It's never gone bad, because once you push through that wall and you see yourself on camera and you actually go, wow, that was actually pretty good. Yeah. Something you've never said about yourself before, you'll never go back.
You know what I think is interesting is the biggest thing I hear from agents and is, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. I need to lose 10 pounds, you know, and how do you break through that wall? That, to me, if once we get through that wall, Phil, we can do anything. But, you know, I believe that. I believe we can train these people, these wonderful agents that have so much to offer. They don't even know how much they have to offer, but they can't get past that. I don't like I look, I sound, I got to lose weight, you know, yet all those excuses.
Right.
Is that what the Marilyn Monroe person was going through?
You know, she was beautiful and she was a dancer. She could dance on stage, but she could not open her mouth and talk, you know. But the thing is, look, and I will explain to people, have you ever met somebody that you thought was gorgeous and 5 minutes after they open their mouth, they get a lot less attractive? Okay. And I remember, I wish I had it here. I have a magazine of the sexiest man of the year. I think it's Time magazine, or I forget, People magazine, sexiest man of the year was David Letterman. That is not the best looking. You put him up against Brad Pitt, I'm sorry. David Letterman is not, but he was voted sexiest man alive that year. And we have all met people that we didn't, when we first met them, we thought, you know, we weren't thinking, oh, she's good looking or he's handsome or whatever. But after they started talking, you were like, I'm so attracted to this person. For
chemistry.
It's chemistry. So the thing is, these people have to realize, look, if people fall in love with you or think that you're beautiful, it's not going to be because of how much you weigh. And it's not going to be how your voice sounds. Because one of my girls that that also broke through a wall became a celebrity lookalike as well, not Marilyn Monroe, Fran Drescher. Try getting used to that voice. Okay. But the audience, when she's in my shows, the audience loves her. They love Fran Drescher. And all of that annoying voice and that cackle of a laugh that she has.
Oh, fantastic. So is there from a high level, Phil, do you have a step or a process that you put into place? Can you walk us through what that looks like for someone to go from being, you know, I can't even step in front of the camera without, like, you know,
freezing,
freezing, to, you know, working with you and then, you know, walking them through whatever you walk them through. And that's what I kind of want to get to, is like, is there a high level step-by-step process so people get an idea of what it's like to kind of work with you to get to the end?
Yes. And there is a process to it. The first process, of course, which is get them in a classroom, because I don't want to lecture. Okay. And here's the important thing. If I work one-on-one with you, Max, you and I are going to get to know each other and like each other, and you're going to become more relaxed with me. So, but then when I stick a camera in your face, you might go right back to where you were. So being in that classroom and working with different people and learning that the most personal things are the most universal, that the things that you think only you struggle with, everyone struggles with. And we have a conversation. So when they figure out, and this is how it goes, they figure it out, why they get nervous being the center of attention, where they got it individually, and how to get over it. Once you figured something out and it makes sense to you, you don't forget it. If I lecture it and people take notes, they have to try to remember it. But then after that, we break up into smaller groups. And then after that, we go into individual problems that people have. But what you're going to find out is you're not the only one with this problem, and you're not the only one that has it for the same reason.
And so I think
people learn. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why so many people can't get off the ground with it, because it's not as easy as reading a book. There is no book that can teach this. And that's what I love. And Max, you know me, I'm a how-to person. And I just fell in love with Phil. First of all, he's born on my birthday, and his name is Valentine. And my last name used to be Hart. So right away we connected. But more than that, though, he's a how-to person. And I know that's the way you train people. You can tell people what to do, but if you can teach them how to do it, that's the magic that Phil has.
Oh, fantastic. So I didn't want to interrupt you there. Did you finish your thought, Phil?
No, believe me, I could be on this thing for 8 hours. I don't ever shut
up. So that's the first step, getting past the nervousness. I can tell you that's the minimum barrier of entry. And so once you get past that, you know, the second thing that you wanted to kind of share with the audience today is about how to get to people to like you, right? And pay attention to you. What is the reasoning and thought process that you have behind that, and how do you make people like you on camera?
Yeah, well, you can do it on camera. See, if you're on camera and you look relaxed and confident, then people will like you. When you talk to people either on the phone or face to face, or even to a group of people, what a lot of people do is everybody's working on themselves, okay? Which we understand why we get nervous. So that's working on ourselves. When it comes to trying to find somebody a home, or a salesman in some other company that's trying to sell something, you have to understand that whatever it is that you have to offer, you're not the only one that has it to offer. There's a reason why a customer or a homeowner is going to choose you. And they're going to choose you because they like you, okay? And if they like you, they trust you. And if they trust you, they trust that you're going to find them the home that they're looking for. So that's important. But we have to focus on people, and this is the second part of what I teach, is why people think they're unpredictable. They're really not, okay? They're really not as unpredictable as they think. But if you can understand why people do the things they do, after the first class, you'll know why they get nervous being the center of attention. That's most people. But you're going to find out a lot more about people and why they do the things they do and why they believe one thing over another and why they trust one person over another. So we do go into personality types, and there are a lot of personality type.
That's very important in selling and listing a home and connecting with buyers, is knowing who you're dealing with. Exactly.
And a lot of these personality type theories, we'll call them, or methods, you get to learn what your personality type is. Okay. And I'll be honest, different personality types are like different languages. Let's say I speak English and Max speaks Spanish and Ruthie speaks French. Me knowing that I speak English doesn't help me communicate with you. I have to understand the other people's personality types and how they process information and how they believe what they believe, because some people are guarded. They don't open up right away, but some people are open, like Ruthie opens up immediately, and you might too. I don't know.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like to get right to it most of the time.
So, but if you understand, because a different personality type is like a different language. If you can speak the other languages, you can communicate with anyone. What a lot of salesmen, used car salesmen, ever try to do is, if they don't think they're connecting with you, they pump up the volume on their personality type. So that's like me speaking English louder.
Right.
It's not helpful. Or me speaking English slower, not helpful. So what I teach people is what determines, and my technique only has 4 personality types, very easy to remember, but I don't focus on my personality type. I look at somebody, and within a minute of speaking to them, I know their personality type, and now I answer questions the way that they can understand.
Yeah.
And it's not being phony, because all you're doing is speaking their language to them.
Right.
You're still being authentic.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So other than obviously not being nervous in front of the camera, in adjusting, so I heard the second thing was adjusting to, the personality type of the person you're speaking in front of. Now, what other ways that you see that, create that feeling of comfort and likeness, I guess?
Well, if I do my job correctly, and it works all the time, this is life-changing for people, because it doesn't just help them, find a home for somebody. What it does is it changes every aspect of their life. When you learn about the personality types, what you do is you practice that, learning other people's languages and speaking it back to them. You do that all the time until it becomes a part of you and you don't have to remember it. So you will find that you seem to be making a lot more friends, or people are all of a sudden very drawn to you. And you're going to find that people will seek you out. If somebody needs a home, they're going to talk to somebody who's going to recommend you. And that's where the whole thing starts to funnel up, or snowball, or whatever you want to call it. But it changes your life, because it makes you, once you're relaxed and more open, it makes you more animated. It makes you more authentic. It makes you more truthful. Usually you get to be my age.
Yep.
And I remember when I was a kid going, my grandpa is so grumpy, and he wasn't grumpy. He just said what he meant. My grandfather didn't really have a filter, but which I do. But the thing is, as we get older, we start to learn that trying to be what somebody else wants us to be because we want them to like us, will do one of two things. Either they're still not going to like you because they're just going to see right through you, or they're going to like you for the wrong reasons. And eventually it's going to fall apart. Right. You can get everyone to appreciate you. You can get everyone to trust you. Whether or not you're going to get everyone to like you, and the thing is, if I speak English and you speak English, just like if we have the same personality type, Max, we would click instantly. That makes for instant friends. But what's funny is that if you're married for a long time, you do not marry the same personality type. You marry a polar opposite so that you can fill gaps. And Ruthie can speak to that because she's been married for a long time. And she will tell you her husband is completely different from her. He's a great guy. Now, if you look at two salespeople, or not sales, well, okay, they do two people in that office that do, offer homes to people, two completely different personality types, and both of them work.
Yeah.
I met both of them, and I like both of them. It doesn't have to be one personality type over another. They're both very genuine. They're both very honest and sincere. And that's really, people just want to know that they can trust you when they're looking for something that you can find for them.
One of the major things in salespeople, Phil, is that they have to genuinely like people. And I tell people when I used to interview agents, no, but if you don't like people, you're in the wrong business. If you're in this for the money, you need to get out of the business. You need to do this business because you generally want to help and like people. And I think that that's what's going to be the tiebreaker here with your class is people are going to figure that out. And what do we call it? Self-awareness, Max. You need to become self-aware, and then not everybody can do that. And if you can't do it, you need to learn how to do it. And hopefully Phil can help people bring that part of them out.
Yeah. Look, money is a necessity, and money is something that we all like, but a lot of us can speak to the fact, look, you're in entertainment because Max is, on camera, and Ruthie does what she does. She does her show every single day or whatever. We're already doing things that most people don't do. If you do something just for money, you're going to learn very quickly that money doesn't make you happy, and then you'll have spent a tremendous amount of time.
You wasted a lot of time, right?
Well, if you looked at the majority of psychological and stress problems are among the wealthy, why would anyone strive to be wealthy? But we've also learned that if you do what you love, okay, you work harder, but it doesn't feel like work. Ask any professional football player. What do they do when they're not playing football? Playing football, usually.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you do what you love, one, you're going to be happier, but the money will come. Whatever it is that you love and you want to do, somebody out there is making a very good living at it. You just got to figure out that part. But to do something that you just for the money and you don't really like the job, it really doesn't matter how much money you're going to make because you're going to spend it on therapy.
but Phil, you've told me that you can actually teach people how to learn to be themselves.
Yeah.
It's
funny because
that's part of your class.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all trying to we have this facade, and they're, like I said, different personality types. Okay. If you're a guarded person, somebody that doesn't open up, I guarantee you don't have any personal pictures in your living room, because your living room or your house is a place that the cable guy comes into, that other people come into. So all your personal pictures are in your bedroom, but an open person, it's the opposite. And we're not trying to make people open necessarily. We're just trying to make them comfortable with themselves.
Yes.
And to get them to like themselves, because we struggle for so long trying to be what it's going to take to get whatever it is that we want. And what they all need to know is it's the same thing. It's not the same personality type. What they need to be is authentic and genuine and sincere, because that's what everyone else in the world is gravitating to. Nobody goes out every day in the world and say, I want to look for a liar and a player and a phony. That's going to make me happy. Right. So to lie and to be phony and to not be authentic is not going to help you, and it's not going to be searched for by anyone else.
Well, right. Gary Vaynerchuk says that all the time. Why do you care what other people think? Right. Be yourself. You will attract the people that are going to know, like, and trust you. The rest of them don't worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great thing. It changed my life, and I maybe one day I'll bring into Ruthie my high school graduation picture. I blame my mom for letting me go out of the house looking like that. But I was a painfully shy kid, and all of my friends from high school they knew me. They always thought I was funny and whatever. But most teachers don't remember me. Students don't remember me. I didn't change until I was 26, when I really first started to learn this or whatever. I would never want to go back to that quiet, shy, insecure kid. I don't know a shy person that tries to be shy. You can ask any shy person, you could say, you're very unemotional, because that is the description of shy people. They're unemotional. And they will all say the same thing. I'm very emotional. See, everybody feels emotion. Not everyone expresses emotion.
Right.
And if there's anybody that's looking to you to help them and they don't think you're being genuine, and they're not feeling any emotion coming out of you, you could have the best deal in the world. If they're skeptical, you're dead in the water.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And what I get from this is like, the biggest fear we have is that of being different. But what's funny is every one of us has that fear, and when we're interacting in crowds or giving a speech, is that everybody has that same judgment. And that's why we look up to the people that can break through that wall. And that's why we revere people who can do that. And that's why actors are so incredible in our culture around the world, not just even, here in America, but is the ability for people to capture that emotional impact and then be themselves. And really, I mean, acting for me, I'm from Southern California too, so I took a couple acting classes. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're actually trying to incorporate who you are as a person into that character, so that you can really portray it with a deep level of understanding. And so two things I garnered out of our talk today with you, Phil, is first one, to overcome the nervousness, that's when you focus on yourself. Before you get on camera, you got to do a lot of internal work on yourself. It sounds like you understand why you have the fear, where it came from, and then work on the steps on getting past that. But when you get in front of the camera and in front of your clients, your focus should not be on you anymore. No. It should be on the other person, on your audience, to make sure you deliver something that they care about, and in a language and a style that gets through to them. I can tell you that's the biggest thing about relationships, is like we try to communicate in a way that we think our partner or our business partner or people around us want to hear the way we think. But to get through to them, we got to understand, how do they receive information? Exactly. What's the best way that that you can get through to them? And you got to adjust your style, not necessarily who you are, but the style and the delivery and the mechanism that you deliver that message to. So.
Yeah, and you don't have to be, the same as other people at all, because like I said, you can make instant friends because you're the same personality type, or you can fall in love because you're polar opposite personality types.
Right.
But the thing is, only 7% of what we say verbally is retained, and it's 38% is the tone of your voice, and 55%, I think, is body language. So people are still judging whether or not to trust you based on something nonverbal. Right. So for me to get you to get out of your head and be authentic and genuine, the same person that the people at home love and trust and care for, then all you're doing is focusing on their needs. Yeah. And at that point, you're golden, because you're a trustworthy person giving them what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And what's great about social media and the advent of video now is like you can really spot the people that are not authentic, right? Or the ones that are like the charlatans trying to sell stuff that have no intention of helping you. It's like you can see, because there's a vast number of evidence now that you compare it to.
Yeah, well, the mouth lies, the body doesn't lie.
Right.
Right. And if people are still absorbing nonverbal, they're not even consciously doing it. You can go into a bar and a drunk person can say, I love you. The words are coming out of their mouth and they're looking right at you. But if there's no emotion there, it's not true. So people still do trust their feelings. They just can't articulate it.
Sure.
It's very subconscious. They just say, nah, I don't think so. And they can't really articulate it. So we're solving that problem. We're getting you to be genuine. And like I said, you don't have to be the same personality type to trust somebody in a way to where you say, especially, like doctors, that's very important. Buying a home is very important because you're planning on being in it for a long time. My kids still sleep in the same room that they slept in the day they were born. So I don't think they ever want to leave that house. I would like to leave that house.
Oh, that's funny.
But look, a home is a big thing. It's almost like having a child, or a pet, let's say a pet. It's like having a pet. For most people, it's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
And you fall in love with it, and it holds within its walls these memories, good and bad. But to walk away from it, even when you buy another house, I'm sure you people have seen so many times people buying a bigger, better, more beautiful house, but it's heartbreaking to leave that shack that they work so hard to get out of. So it's still all about memories, and hopefully the people that you trust to find you what you're looking for will be a part of that beautiful memory that you can have. And that's what I loved about Ruthie, is the honesty that she insists upon. Don't try to sell somebody. Be honest, be authentic. What you want will come. You just have to relax. She's very comfortable in her own skin. And that's what we're trying to do. She finds these people that are wonderful people, and they're wonderful people, and you like them right away. And then you put a camera in your face and you see a completely different person. You're like, I don't even like that person, and it's me. And that's what she was saying. These people say, I hate the way I sound, I hate the way I look. They're just articulating that they don't like what's coming across because it's not genuine. That's not me. That's what they're saying. It's somebody who looks like me, but it's not me. So I'm just trying to get them.
You're going to teach them how to do that. And Phil and I are going to put a class together. We've kind of got some points going, guidelines, and it'll probably be in August, because this is a classroom right now environment. And I don't know if we'll make it a webinar at some point, but for right now, I have to understand how it's going to unfold and how we can actually teach the people how to do what we need them to do. And I think it's going to be face-to-face. Don't you, Phil?
Yeah, it's always better face-to-face. Webcams are great. It's, kind of like reading a book. It's not as good. Face-to-face is so wonderful, but we can still do this. This is the next closest thing. So we can live stream.
Yeah.
If I can get feedback, because I would like to see that they're getting it. They always get it. And honestly, it's selfish. I want to be there for the aha moment.
Right.
Because I know exactly when it's coming. And the whole class goes.
Yeah. Well, I think, with the green screen and now we have the teleprompter and some of the neat tools and equipment that we have, we can get people to the point where we can put them on this screen and let them unfold. And then eventually they can go out and do video. So I think that I love BeLive. This particular platform, for instance, is one that's easy. Like, it was easy for you to get on it. It's easy to use. There's a lot of bells and whistles to it. But to get someone on it, like Cookie or Karen, who's here today, Chris, one of those, Karen, get them on it. And you and I can sit there and listen to them and let them become comfortable without them before it goes live. So we have all the tools and equipment to get them to that point, like we did with Stephanie. Even though we didn't have the teleprompter, she still did a good job. And now we have the teleprompter. She'll just knock it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
What's interesting? I have to tell everybody this, and then we got to go. Once you start doing this and you start getting comfortable, like Phil's talking about, and now it's not about how you look, sound, it's the information you want to share. And all of a sudden you get back into that loving people moment again, and you want to help people. And that's where you got to go. You got to cross that bridge, right? And once you can do it.
Ruth can attest to that, because about 4 years ago, I told Ruth, why are you not doing a show on, you're telling people to get on video, and why are you not doing a show? And she had the same hesitation, so I mean, Ruth knows what she's talking about, because she had to overcome this wall herself 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how this show came about with us on Saturday morning. And now she's doing it every single day at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for coming on. Any last thoughts from you to share with somebody today that they maybe can think about, execute, that they can help get them one step closer into breaking through that wall of just being nervous and getting on camera?
I wish that, because people ask me for my elevator speech into why people get nervous being the center of attention, just so they know that no matter how nervous you are, no matter how bad you think you're going to be at this, I have taken people that I'm sure are far worse than you, who have not only gotten over the nervousness, but entered into a career of being the center of attention as a living, and they love it. I have never had a single student that has ever regretted opening up and being more comfortable with themselves in every aspect of your life. This isn't just about finding homes for people. This is about really changing the way that you relate and understand people. And after the very first class, I promise you, I say it all the time, you will look at the world differently. You will see it differently. You will see things you've never seen before.
And Phil, we've got some people that want to contact you before August. So I will get, with your permission, I'll give them your contact.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I see Miss Cookie every day. She greets me with a great morning and with an exclamation point. Another day in paradise, Cookie. I want to tell everybody, by the way, who's here, that we are going to have a new class that we are putting on. Whoops, let's see, where is it, Ruth? Oh, here it is. So it's called Cybersecurity, and we got it okayed by the commission for an ethics 3CE classroom class. We're going to have it on Thursday, and it's really going to help everybody with wire fraud, with their email that gets hacked, with their websites that get hacked, all this kind of stuff. And if you come to the class, that class goes toward getting your CyPro designation. So yeah, and that's going to be in the future very, very important. And the commission, the Real Estate Commission, is actually working on this becoming a requirement that all realtors, real estate agents have this designation, or at least take this ethics class to learn how to protect the consumer from being hacked and from their own information being hacked that has the consumer's information. So I'm really excited about this new class. So sign up, go to b.vegas, sign up for the 26th and or the 25th, and then the 26th we're having another ethics class with Jimmy Dague. So lots of things going on this week. Yep.
And look forward to a class with Phil Valentine and Ruth.
That's coming in August. We're going to work hard on it in July and get something put together. I know the real estate business. He knows the movie business. So we're going to put it together, and it's going to, we're going to knock it out of the ballpark. And the people that are going to stay in this business have got to learn video, how to do video.
Exactly right. So happy Father's Day weekend, everybody.
Sure.
And you'll see Ruth tomorrow morning, right? Ruth, 9 a.m. All right.
I do my emotional, spiritual show on Sundays all by myself. And I have some special thoughts and things to share with everyone tomorrow. So see me at 9 a.m. I'll be on my personal page, and looking forward to see all my fans there tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Phil.
Enjoy your week.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Phil. All right.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.